All right, for the 4.4 MyMathLab assignment, we didn't do sensitivity analysis in class, and we've already had the test on it if you're in the fall 2017 class. So I don't want you to have to worry about going through all of those tableaus, like doing that by hand and clearing pivots and stuff. I'm just going to show you how to use Excel. And if you use Excel on the homework, then the Excel activities for 3.3 and 4.4 should be relatively easy because I'm basically asking you to do the same thing. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a column for variables, and they are asking me how many paring knives and pocket knives. So actually, number of paring knives, and then I'll just copy and paste and change that to paring to pocket. And then we'll have some constraints. And what are our constraints based on? Labor hours, steel, and wood. Oh, oops, I'm just gonna copy, I'm gonna cut and paste this in the next column. You could also go and insert a column. If you highlight on the top and click on insert, it will insert a column. Either way. Remember, if you've watched the 3.3 or 4.4 Excel activity videos, always start out with your variables equaling 0. And then you need formulas for your constraints, so start out with equals. And then for labor hours, so the paring knife requires 3 labor hours, so equals 3 times, click on this, plus, and then the pocket knife requires 6, so plus 6 times, and then click on the number of pocket knives. And then we'll do one for steel, so start out with equals, and then paring knife says 7 units of steel, and pocket 5 units of steel. Okay, so 7x plus 5y, so equals 7 times x plus 5 times y. And then wood, start out with equals. So let's see, it was 4, so the paring knife was 4, and the pocket knife was 3, so 4x plus 3y, so equals 4 times x plus 3 times y. Those are the constraints, and then we have our objective, which is to maximize profit. And enter a formula for that. So let's see, it's the profit on each paring knife is 3 and pocket knife is 5. So 3x plus 5y. So equals 3 times x plus 5 times y. All right. And then once we have that all set up, we're ready to go to the solver. So click on data and solver. Again, quickly, if when you click on the data tab, you don't have solver over here, you go to File, Options, click on Add-ins, Go, and then just make sure the solver box is checked and click on OK, and then it'll put the solver thing up here. If it doesn't show up right away, like click over to formulas and click back, and then you should see solver. Okay, so click on that. Our objective is to maximize, and then notice that this is highlighted. Just click on where you have the formula for profit entered. And then by changing our variables, so click on it, comma, click on the other one, and then subject to the constraint. So click on add. The first thing I'm going to do is non-negativity. So the number of paring knives has to be greater than or equal to 0. Add. The number of pocket knives has to be greater than or equal to 0. add. Okay, now we'll have one for labor hours. So just click on it and then go back to the paragraph. So it says each day they have 78. So it's going to be less than or equal to 78. Add. And then I'm going to need one, oops, close this. I'm going to need one for steel. So click on, just delete everything if that happened to you. So just click on steel. And let's see, 110 units of steel. Okay, so less than or equal to 110. And then one more for wood. So 111. So the amount of wood has to be less than or equal to 111. And then I think I'm done, so okay. And then notice like my window disappeared, but it's flashing down here. If that happens to you, just click on this and it'll bring up your solver window. You want to make sure this part says simplex LP. This chapter is all about the simplex method. LP stands for linear programming. Click solve. I'm going to click on sensitivity report, although I don't know that we need it for this problem. And then one thing I should mention, I didn't notice this the first time I did the problem, but so you could have done that. You can do all of this stuff with the 4.3 homework as well. Just make sure some of those you're trying to minimize, and you can always just change the direction of the inequality right in the solver window. You don't have to do any of the multiplying by a negative, because Excel will just let you choose less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, and it has the algorithm built in. The one thing is I saw all of this, but then they add this little part. Suppose the number of labor hours is increased by 54. So it was 78 and then they increased it by 54. So I'm actually going to do just kind of scratch work over here, equals 78 plus 54. So they really now do have 132 labor hours available. So I'm just going to go back to solver, and where I had the 78, change that to 132. Okay, solve. And let's see, oh, no paring knives, 22 pocket. And then the profit was 110. Okay, next question. And now the next question should keep a lot of the same stuff. So the paring knife, 3 labor hours, 7 units of steel, 4 units of wood. That's exactly what it was here in problem 1, 3, 7, and 4. And then the pocket knife was 6, 5, and 3. And if I go back to problem 2, yep, 6, 5, and 3. So that part's the same. The profit, 3 and 5. If you look at problem 1, profit is 3 and 5. So I don't need to change any of the formulas on my cell, but they do change the constraints. So here it was 78, 110, and 111. And here they are changing all of those. So I don't have to retype anything on my sheet. I'm just going to go to solver. And now I see labor hours, the max is 96. And so let's see, where did we have labor hours? Over here in row, where did I have it? I had it in row 5. So I click on the one with row 5 and change that to be less than or equal to 96. Okay, and then steel is now 134, and steel is in row 7. So here's row 7, change that. Now it's got to be less than or equal to 134. And then wood is 117, and wood is in row 9. So click on the one that's row 9, change, and that it's less than or equal to 117. Okay, so I fixed everything. Simplex LP, click solve. We want the sensitivity report. Notice I already have one sensitivity report that I didn't really have to use for the first problem. So it's going to give me another one and call it sensitivity report 2. All right. Now they talk about the shadow price for labor. So this H is what they talk about as the range of feasibility. It's just the allowable decrease and increase. So if you go to your sensitivity report, they're dealing with labor hours. So we're looking at this row right here. And so the allowable increase is 64.8. So H is how much you can increase or decrease. So 64.8. Now here's the problem. It won't let you do decimals. I mean, like non-terminating decimals. This one is fine, 64.8, it stops. But this one, and if you're going down, if you're decreasing, then that means your H is negative. You're taking away from the right-hand side. So say I tried negative 38.6 for the small value of H, negative 38.6, and I click check answer. So it says your answer for the maximum is correct, but your answer for the minimum is incorrect. It wants us to do fractional answers, and sometimes Excel does an okay job of this, and not always though. It depends on how yucky the fraction is. So first, if you have a number that is a decimal that never ends, just copy and paste it into another cell. So I just pasted it over here. Now go up to the home button, and over here in the number panel, click on this and look for where it says fraction. So it says 38 4/7. And I'm just gonna check down here. So I'm gonna do equals 4/7 and 57124 8571. Yeah, look at that, matches exactly what's after the 38. So it should go down negative 38 4/7. So let's just delete this. Actually, I still want it to be negative. And then click on this little mixed number tab and do 38 4/7. And then check answer. Okay? So, all right, that should save a lot of time for if you did all of this by hand.